What's going on, everybody, and welcome to the Other Side of the Firewall podcast. We talk about the latest and greatest of cybersecurity news, as well as we highlight those movers and shakers and glass ceiling breakers. Those people of color who made it to the other side of the proverbial firewall. My name is Ryan Williams, and as always, I'm joined by Shannon Tynes.
What's up? What's up?
And Chris Abacon.
What's going on, everybody?
What's going on? So, welcome to the Monday episode. So, Monday, Tuesday are topics, Wednesday discussion, Thursdays Ask a CISSP, and Fridays everything else, movies, books, games, all that cool stuff. If you're listening to us on the radio, so 99.1 FM out in the metro Atlanta area, you get all of it all at one time. And then if you're watching us on Channel 10, you'll start to see these episodes more frequently. So we've been doing a lot of the interviews, but season 2 will be a lot more of the podcast. So definitely check that out as well. But without further ado, I give it to Shannon.
All right, everybody. So this article's from Microsoft.com, and it's one of their security blogs, right? And the title of this one is Women's History Month, Why Different Perspectives in Cybersecurity and AI Matter More Than Ever Before. So what they're talking about here is we've talked about it before on the show, and it's something that we preach all the time, right? Is having that diversity to help these companies grow, right? And the reason they go into this is because, all right, this is a Microsoft blog, right? So we all know Microsoft is in it for the money, right? Let's be real about this, right? But the study that they've done, so believe it or not, they have a study that they've done. The last time that they had a full completion of it was 2023. It was December of 2023, right? And they talk about the financial impact of having a more diverse board in some of these companies, and they lay it out like, hey, in this percentile, it's this, with this, it's this, and like it's been growing over the years. It's something that they've been doing, right? So I know DEI may not be something that's that popular in this day and age under this current administration, but it's something that has helped these companies become more financially prosperous, I should say, right? And again, in this report they go into, it's really cool the way they lay this out, right? They talk about female representation, right, which is the point of the article. But they talk about ethnic diversity as well, right, and the representation and how it's financially benefited these companies. And the reason for it is the different angles, right, the different viewpoints you get from the top, right. It's one of those things where we've talked about it before, where it's kind of like at the top, people kind of click up, right. When you have these people that have these Harvard business degrees and stuff like that, they bring in other Harvard business folks, right, and because of that, how many people are minorities that have gone to Harvard Business School, right? So they kind of talk about getting away from that, getting more diverse, whether it be people of color or women, right? And I want to say the percentage they said, it was like, I want to say it was like 37% or something it had grown to with women at those top levels. And it was up from, I want to say it was like 17, something like that. It was a big jump to where, yeah, with that correlated to having a more financially prosperous company, right? And like I said, this is something that Microsoft put out there, even though it was for Women's History Month. It's like, hey, it's not just a matter of being a good company, but helping you financially as well. Chris, what's your thoughts on it?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely, right? When you have a senior management that has diversity of thought, you're able to bring in different perspectives such that you can make those strategic decisions, especially if you're an organization whose customer base is global, right? When you're a global company, you need a global perspective on how to target different markets and different economies, how the pricing works, or how your marketing needs to, what that needs to look like, right? When you have that diversity of people, different perspectives, which brings in diversity of thought, you get that to the senior management, that trickles down, right? So it doesn't, like you said, like you don't have a myopic or everybody just, all 100% Harvard or Yale grads at the top, because they all think a certain way. I mean, let's be real here, right? That is an exclusive, let's say it, that's an elite class of educated people, right? And while they may have elite education, they don't have the perspective of someone coming from, maybe someone that's moved themselves up from a impoverished situation to becoming a graduate of a certain school and having that expertise and showcasing that. And it's also something to say that, people of that background generally have to hustle harder to get to somewhere, right? It's not like they knew the guy at the frat, or, hey, this alumni at this school, or friends with the trustees in there. They've had to work to get to that. Like shout out to the women out in, this is Women's History Month, but shout out to the women that have been, breaking those glass ceilings, making sure that they're represented. And I do want to highlight some things about the article. It does talk about women in cybersecurity, right? They talk about, one big section here is to tell, for aspiring cybersecurity professionals to continue deepening your expertise and invite different perspectives. There's a whole section on that. They have these bullet points, and the one I really like is reach out to community groups that advocate for mentorship opportunities. Like if you're on LinkedIn, there's a ton of outstanding, amazing women out there trying to bring their voices to the masses, right? I would say if you're starting up your LinkedIn account or, starting your journey, don't be afraid. Just connect and send them a nice little message, right? It's like, hey, how did you do it? Find that mentor. One of them was eventually, I know it's kind of scary when you're brand new to this process, right? But a part of, even as military, like us here transitioning into, the civilian world, networking is everything, right? And, for aspiring young women out there, like, hey, network with your peers and just hit them up, have them talk about their journey. So then, you can kind of compare and contrast how you can kind of follow those footsteps as well. Right. And then they also talk about and offer inclusive training that encourages professionals, particularly those in early careers, encouraging to advance their skills in cybersecurity. That brings one point too. Like if you're starting in cybersecurity and IT, you're in a help desk job, right, or whatever, which is outstanding. You're getting your foot in the door. Reach out to one of these, these people on LinkedIn, these women on LinkedIn, and have them talk. Try to find that mentor. And I know that's a difficult proposition for a lot of people, right? But it'll pay the dividends. And I really like that it highlighted that in this article.
And I think that's the point, right? Like when these conversations are had, like when you show it to these people in the C-suite, be like, look, it is costing you to not be diverse. Like as much as, whatever your feelings may be on it, you got to speak their language, right? Like you are losing money if you don't do this. And all of a sudden it was up like, oh, really? Tell me more. You know what I mean? That's kind of how it goes.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, those are my thoughts. Ryan, what do you think?
No, I think they're all spot on. I definitely do like that it's tied to the money, just because of the current environment, right? It's no longer an inclusive environment for the sake of diversity and bring more people in. It's more like, hey, how can we cut costs? How can we generate more profits? We're going to be in a different period for some time now when it comes to hiring and things of that nature, and it all is tied to the money. So I like that they did bring that perspective. I think it ties in nice to an article that we pushed out through our newsletter, right? So friend of the podcast, Ellen Wesley from Cyber Explorer, he sent me an article entitled Reframing DEI, the Evolution from Culture War to Business Strategy. And it definitely ties the knot in this regard because it's saying, hey, we still need diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging. However, right now it's a culture war, right? Like the word is akin to almost a slur, right? Like people are like, hear DEI and they clutch their pearls. They're, a verbal gasp. Like it's something that just came out of nowhere, right? We've been talking about DEI for a decade now or more. But in this regard, now it's tying it back to the money, right? Like if you don't want to do it for the sake of having representation, for the sake of learning new perspectives, then how's it impacting your bottom line? And this goes to show that it's absolute necessity to have people from different perspectives, different mindsets, different cultures, because it makes you a more well-rounded company and it brings you in talent because you may have kind of constrained your pipeline when you're only hiring elites or people that know people, right? Like come from a certain tribe, as opposed to broadening yourself out. And then you're capturing talent that like Chris said may have, started from the bottom. Now they're here, right? Like they have a different perspective. They're able to pull that in as well. So I do like that they tie the two together. I'd also say earlier this year, we had on Lynn Dom from WESIS, right? So women in cyber. And she brought up a good perspective where when she started with WESIS, they were in the teens, right? When it came to representation, things of that nature. Now, when I last talked to her, she said 25. This article says 30%. So it is increasing where you have women in these C-suite, C-level positions. And with that, you also have record-making profits and things of that nature. I think the two are very much intertwined because you are bringing in those new perspectives. And with that, you're bringing in talent that you would necessarily not have the ability to capture before because you have new people with fresh ideas, perspectives that, think a certain way, look a certain way, and they're able to then pull in their peers into these key roles and positions. So I think it's an absolute necessity to capture this talent. And Microsoft's like, hey, listen, like we have the facts, right? Through Microsoft, through ISC2, we see that. So definitely continue to do that. And then hopefully we'll get over 30%, right? Because women make up over 50% of the population. So you would think that the numbers would be more tightly, they would mirror each other a little bit better, but they obviously don't. But they are making strides. So it's great to see. And hopefully when we talk about this, not necessarily just because it's, International Women's Month, but because, annually we're bringing in more. We can talk about the numbers as they increase from 30 to 35 to 40 and so on and so forth. Definitely check us out throughout the week. Monday and Tuesday are topics. Wednesday is discussion. Thursdays, Ask a CISSP. Fridays, movies, books, games, all that cool stuff. So non-cyber related topic. Hit us up by all the websites that go by our name, The Other Side of the Firewall, The Other Side of the FW, or Ask CISSP. Give me a personally. I'm at RyRy Security Guy. That's RYRY Security Guy. You can find me on all the platforms, but LinkedIn is where I'm most active. And where can they find you, Chris?
You can find me on LinkedIn under my name, Chris Abacon. Last name spelled Abacon.
There it is. Stay safe. Stay secure.